U.S. Congressman claims the Bible has pretty clear evidence of UFOs and the Vatican knows that aliens are here. He's probably talking about the Book of Enoch, of course. The unidentified aerial phenomena, or what we call UFOs, is not what many think it is. The reality of UFOs goes beyond where flying machines and space aliens is turning into a rabbit hole. And every year, UFO enthusiasts and whistleblowers put more effort into unveiling the secrecy, but instead of revealing the truth, the new branch of mystery unfolds, adding another chapter to the UFO enigma. Missouri Republican Eric Burleson attended a classified UFO briefing recently, but mentioned it did not change his beliefs. He said, "There's nothing that's said that's changed my worldview." He said, it added that he believes the claims of people who testified in public, but thinks there might be more to the story. Representative Burleson said that UFOs might be angels sent by God. Burleson, who heard secret information about UFOs, shared the idea on that UFO podcast, and he said, "They may not fit exactly the biblical narrative, but whenever I use the term angels, to me it's synonymous with an extra-dimensional being." In a podcast, Burleson shared his thoughts on UFOs, offering a detailed perspective on various theories surrounding these unidentified phenomena. Burleson discussed a theory he read in a public report by UFO whistleblower David Grush, who alleged that the government secretly recovered alien spacecraft and even dead pilots inside them. According to Grush's report, one theory suggests that what we're encountering might be beings that exist in higher dimensions beyond our normal understanding of space and time. He also used the analogy of living on a two-dimensional surface and being encountered by a three-dimensional object to explain the idea of encountering something from a higher dimension. And in this case, he suggests that we live in a three-dimensional environment and could be encountering something from a higher dimension where traditional concepts of distance might become irrelevant. He expressed skepticism about the probability of being visited by an alien race from a distant planet, emphasizing the vast distances involved. Burleson questioned the likelihood of an advanced alien race traveling such long distances only to crash upon arrival on Earth. He leaned towards the idea that these phenomena are more likely to be extra-dimensional, existing beyond our usual understanding of dimensions. He explained that various scriptures, including the Bible, describe messengers of God or angels as existing in dimensions beyond our own, while acknowledging the visual evidence and testimony from pilots regarding UFO sightings. Burleson emphasized the most likely explanation in his opinion. He says, "I don't discuss the visual recordings or the testimonies from pilots. I believe they are generally witnessing something. There is substantial evidence of these unidentified objects, and although we don't know what they are, I think the most probable explanation might not be what everyone hopes to hear. It could very well be advanced technology under development and research, possibly involving new propulsion technology. And when discussing the topic, I often refer to the discovery of the Higgs boson particle about 10 years ago by CERN. We identified the Higgs field, which essentially relates to gravity, and the particle is a wave function within that field." Now, Burleson is not the only one suggesting a link between UFOs and religious texts. Representative Tim Burchett claimed in 2021 that UFOs were in the Bible, referring to the book of Ezekiel. And according to Mystery Wire, Representative Burchett talked about UFOs being written in the Bible, pointing especially to Ezekiel. Referencing is for Ezekiel 1:4-28, in which there is a description of seeing, quote, "an immense cloud filled with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. The center of the fire looked like glowing metal, and in the fire was what looked like 4 living creatures. In appearance, their form was human, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. When the living creatures moved, the wheels beside them moved, and when the living creatures rose from the ground, the wheels also rose. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go, and the wheels would rise along with them. because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Ezekiel 1-4 and Ezekiel 10. While Grush has publicly discussed theories on UAPs that might originate from a higher order dimensions theorized by physicists, those concepts do not appear in the unclassified version of his complaint. The extra-dimensional or interdimensional hypothesis also does not appear in what has been made public from Grush's written statements first submitted for approval to the Pentagon's Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review, DOPSR. But Grush did talk about this theory when he was under oath answering questions from Republican Burleson during a public UAP hearing in July 2023. Republican Burleson said at the hearing, "It's a bit hard to believe that an alien species advanced enough to travel billions of light years would come here and somehow not be able to survive." Then he asked Grush about the interdimensional potential, saying, "Could you explain that?" Grush said, "No matter how smart we are, accidents happen, like plane crashes and car crashes. A small percentage of missions may fail, as we say in the Air Force." Talking about multidimensionality, Grush mentioned the holographic principle. It comes from general relativity and quantum mechanics. He explained it has an imaging 3D object casting a shadow onto a 2D surface. He said you can be projected from higher dimension space to lower dimension space. It's a scientific idea that you can actually cross dimensions, as far as I understand. But there are probably people with PhDs who could argue about that. There's also been some speculation about UFOs being connected to religious visits or interdimensional beings since the early 20th century. This idea became more famous with the book Passage to Magonia, A Folklore to Flying Saucers by Jacques Vallée, 1969. Vallée later inspired a character in Steven Spielberg's UFO movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He spent years studying ancient texts for this book. Vallée states that UFOs are related events of paranormal nature, involve visitations from other realities or dimensions. The idea proposes that these alternative realities exist separately, yet parallel to our own. In 1975's The Edge of Reality, Vallée and Hynek considered the possibility of what they call interlocking universes. Daniel Sheehan, public interest lawyer and activist who was a former chief counsel for the United States Jesuit Order, revealed intriguing details about his conversation with the head of the Vatican archives regarding the Vatican's knowledge of extraterrestrial life. He shed light on his involvement in a groundbreaking initiative to address the theological and philosophical implications of the discovery of extraterrestrial intelligence. And there's a link here to that full article. He proposed the formation of a task force involving all 54 major religious denominations to address the issue from a theological perspective. However, at that time, there was insufficient consensus and the proposal was declined. Sheehan is currently working through his new Paradigm Institute to organize a global summit conference involving world religious leaders to discuss the recent recovery of an extraterrestrial spacecraft. He highlighted the Vatican acknowledgement of the possibility of extraterrestrial life. He referenced a formal statement issued by Catholic Church on November 10, 2009, authorized by Pope Benedict. The statement, issued by Father Jose Gabriel Alfruz, director of the Pontifical Observatory in Rome, recognized the increasing discovery of exoplanets and called for a global discussion on the philosophical and theological implications of the imminent discovery of extraterrestrial life. Sheehan disclosed that the government was telepathically interrogating the extraterrestrial biological entity EBO in custody. Despite acknowledging this bizarre nature of the revelation, Sheehan stood by the credibility of the information, having interviewed individuals directly involved in the process. The EBO extraterrestrial allegedly conveyed that a coalition of star systems in our galaxy monitors the evolution of life on different planets, including our earth. Since the translation of the Book of Enoch from the ancient text discovered in Ethiopia in 1768, it has created a stir in the history of mankind that has been told for years. The Book of Enoch tells a story of fallen angels called the Nephilim, or the Anunnaki. It's attributed to Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah. It's no wonder why the Book of Enoch was not included in the modern biblical version, since its content speaks of wicked angels who became fond of mortal women and mated with them, giving birth to a hybrid race of giant humanoids known throughout secular biblical history as the Nephilim. The Nephilims then taught humans great technologies that made us greedy and awful until God destroyed them with a great flood in order to prevent further harm to creation. And this is a massive oversimplified summary, but given these themes, the Book of Enoch has understandably grown in popularity in recent years. So what are UFOs? Jeremy Corbell says UFOs appear to be part of a larger phenomenon, meaning UFOs are kind of an auxiliary implication of a much larger reality. So this idea that we are seeing our machines from other planets, I'm unconvinced what we are seeing is an alternative reality. Maybe it's something closer to dimensional travel. Former CIA officer Jim Semivan says, yes, there is a force out there that can control our environment. The UFO phenomenon can be shocking, especially to children. And David Grush said, for humanity, we are alone, or what happens when we die? Well, I don't know about that, but are we alone? Well, the answer is we're not alone, and I know that with 100% certainty, which is, as an intel officer, you never get to say 100%, but all things pointed towards, based on the people I talked to, the phenomenon is real. It's been going on for thousands of years. People have been seeing strange things, and not everybody's mass hallucinating. So that's kind of my long diatribe about what is happening, he said. This is on House and Wise by Vicky Verma. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.